evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Raj, CEO from Raj Hospitality and Hospitality Influencers. It's a great honor to have Mr. Deepak Haksar, who retired recently from the ITC Hotels and Welcome Hotels as CEO. His philosophy is empower others. Hospitality industry doyen, Mr. Deepak Haksar, he was the CEO ITC Hotel for almost 5 years. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Raj. Thank you for having me on your.
So it's a great pleasure for us having such personality in our show, sir.
Thank you.
So can we start with a question that what motivated you to be part of the hospitality industry?
That's a very difficult question to answer because it happened almost 42 years back. I think in our time, the industry was still in its infancy, and ITC Maurya was, we started seeing after Ashoka and, the private, the Asiad was there in the 80s, there was the Asiad. So before the Asiad, there were many hotels that were coming up. And for the first time, we saw really the opening up of the industry. You saw bigger hotels, larger hotels, more luxury hotels coming up. ITC Maurya was one of them that opened up in 76. And so I, in 78, felt that it was a good time and I met somebody and they said, why don't we need young people like you. Why don't you go for a summer break? They're looking for people. So I went in what was meant to have been a summer job, turned out to be a passion of a lifetime. So that was not my intention. My intention was really to, my family has been in government, I've been in foreign service, maybe IAS. So, there was always this latent feel that one should probably pursue those paths. But I think something drew me to the hospitality industry. And as I worked in the industry, I got more passionate about consumer, customer care, and delivering customer experiences. How do you show empathy in your dealings with the customer? So I think that's how it sort of my love for the industry grew, and I never looked back. So this is a very short answer, but I mean there's a lot more to it. But later on, it became people. I realized that many young people were looking forward to join the industry. As more hotels came about, there were more job opportunities, salaries improved, there was a greater professionalism. There was a time when the industry also opened up in so many ways. We were able to be opened up in our imports of food and beverage, technology, wines, cheeses, whiskeys. I mean, so many things happened. It just opened up, and we were as good as anywhere in the world. Our bars are considered as good as anywhere in the world.
Absolutely.
And there was a lot of training and skill development. Our bartenders are now recognized among the best in the world. They are getting recruited in cruise liners. They're getting recruited in overseas, in Dubai. So, our talent pool also widened and was exposed to the best, which in our time was limited. You had a limited sort of availability of ingredients, food and wines, etc. But with time, the industry also opened up. And our industry is totally today benchmarked to global standards.
Correct.
Especially in hospitality, especially in the warmth and the care that Indian hospitality is second to none in the world.
I agree, sir.
So apart from our knowledge base that has improved, our skills that is internationally at par, it is our care for our guests, Atithi Deva Bhava. That is something that makes our industry, tourism industry, very unique, truly globally benchmarked. And our hotels are considered second to none.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It was very nice to hear on that, sir. So I've understood by seeing few of your interviews that you are very emotional and also have great value for human relationship. Can you say a few thoughts on this? That also a bit on your schooling done in the boarding school. You have gone through some boarding school, and I've just gone through some of your interviews.
Well, I think human relations is absolutely very integral to interpersonal relationships, first of all. Man is gregarious by and social by nature. So it is very important that how you build your relationships, and relationships are based on trust and and honesty, you know, and being able to give. You give and take, you know. So these are, it is to and fro in terms of trying to make lasting relationships, enduring relationships. So it is something that is a very integral to a human nature, you know. I mean, those who are able to make enduring relationships make good friends, which last a lifetime. I studied in a boarding school called Scindia School, Gwalior, which is a residential school. And one of the strengths of Scindia School was its the Indianness of its values that it gave to its students. And those Indian values were very earthy, very grounded. It makes you grounded to respect for elders, you know, speaking the truth, never lie, never take anything from anybody. You know, those very basic जो घर में भी बोलते हैं कि भाई ये you know, these are something that one must always have. So the Scindia School was a very great learning ground. You know, we had some wonderful teachers who taught us some great values and discipline. One of the things was discipline. You know, how you sort of got up in the morning and how you had a whole day of activities, which include games, which include your personal time, which include your study time. All this was a very integral and important part, and that basic formative years, I found that it gave you so much of confidence, and it made you very independent and yet very mindful of honesty and trust in relationships and building enduring friendship with people based on some very good values. So these are things that one learned in the school and on the sports ground also, of leadership, of carrying your team, helping your friends. You know, all these are things that much later in life you realize that, you know, you pick these things up in your formative years. So I was very fortunate to have gone to a very good school, but it was a school that was very focused on Indian values.
Something very interesting, sir. So, what are the challenges you have seen in the hospitality industries, like your tenure, like liquor ban, demonetization, COVID, etc.? So, how did you handle them actually?
Actually, COVID happened just as I was retiring, and so it was obviously something that nobody had anticipated. Nobody had envisioned that something of this magnitude will happen. But in my capacity at that point in time, the chairman of the CII, National Tourism Committee, which I have now relinquished. There is a new chair and co-chair. Mr. Puneet Chatwal is now the chair, and Deep Kalra is the co-chair. But I'm now the advisor on CII. But this formative 4-5 months were extremely difficult and tough because the industry was taken in by complete surprise. I remember my first interview on CNBC, and I said that we are going through an existential crisis, that there has been a huge disruption of our supply line, of our businesses. Unprecedented. Something like this should have happened. It didn't, even in 2008 and 2009, when we felt that things were looking very bad. Uh, this is far worse because the world came to a grinding halt. International travel came to a grinding halt. Domestic travel came to a grinding halt. The suddenness of the closing of the entire economy as well as travel impacted the businesses very, very critically. And the hotels found that there was zero top line, zero revenues. And obviously we are a business that has high fixed costs, and also it is capital intensive, it is labor intensive, it has high salary wages benefit. Even if it is closed, it still incurs cost, electricity costs, people cost, so maintenance cost. You have to keep your areas clean, you have to keep your air conditioning open. So these were all very, very difficult times. And so what it meant was that how do you recalibrate your businesses? How do you manage your internal workings to meet the new environment? And that is what the new leadership of my organization, ITC Hotels, and others also, and Taj and Hyatt and Marriott, so many others, we all went into that drawing board as to what do we do? How do we reduce our expenses? How do we handle this period? And obviously, there was a lot of people have in the last 5 months, even though now it has opened up, and we'll talk about it later. But I think there was very deep introspection in terms of what the industry could do, with the prime objective being that it needs to save jobs, and yet it needs to do some activity that will give it some revenues. So I think this time was also used to prepare for the future. Look at your own. One of them was to restore that. Whenever it opened, we had to restore consumer confidence. How do you restore confidence? By recalibrating your entire business to ensure highest degree of safety and hygiene.
Absolutely.
How do you bring those protocols, and how do you embed those protocols at all levels, so that your customer who comes in, as well as your employee who is delivering that service, both are safe? So I think that was the very key part of recalibrating your this thing. High touch areas, how do you rationalize the touch points, for example?
Correct.
So in India, the whole experience is on more touch points, giving more service, and wishing you, welcoming you, holding your baggage, escorting you. But at each touch point, they can be a failure. At each touch point, you can have a disease being passed over. So how do you reduce the number of touch points?
Yeah.
And within the available touch points, how do you create those safety protocols? First was to write those protocols. What are those protocols? So we had to work with the government. We had to every hotel chain did their own internal assessment, got the best in the game to guide them, and then we worked with the government. The government came up with SOPs. These SOPs were sent to CII and other organizations to give the feedback. We gave them the feedback. This is how it should be done. So this was a process that took time, because many were unprepared. The big global chains and Indian brands like ITC, Oberoi, and Taj did an exemplary job. They took up their standards to better than global standards. ITC was already at a very high level of hygiene and sanitation. It's a HACCP certified, ISO 22000 certified chain, with all its hotels are ISO 22000. All its hotels are HACCP certified. But it went even beyond that when it got in NABL protocols, hospital protocols into its processes to have even higher degree of safety and security. So, and similarly, other brands I know have also gone to that extent, and they have We Care or We Assure. Many such programs were introduced to basically tell about restore consumer and restore customer confidence. So this was the first very important task. The second task was obviously that how do you communicate? A lot of jobs, a lot of hotels had shut down, so you had to reduce the number of people on the hotel. Some emergency staff had to stay in the hotel, but many people were working from home. So work from home became a new paradigm, and you for the first time, what people heard of something like Zoom or Microsoft Team or WebEx. I mean, these things, Raj, you would recollect 6 months earlier. Did you ever think that you will be conducting interviews like this?
No.
Or would I ever be thinking that I will be sitting in my office and talking to you? Now it seems it has become a second nature. I'm finding it very comfortable. I mean, it is almost like sitting across to you in a restaurant and having a cup of coffee. Except that I'm having coffee at my home and you are talking from your place of work. So I think this is a very new way of work from home that gained momentum. It's not that it was not earlier there. There was a concept, but this concept became reality during this period, where teams got built, teams engaged, work was being executed, work from home was being done, directions were being given. It was a very interesting stage. And I think there is a growing, my daughter, for example, when I'm a little digressing, who works for a company called Gartner, and she has an office in Cyber City. They have been told that till December you'll be working from home, and they seem to be even more productive because you are now available on call, you don't waste time traveling. So there are many pluses, and so this is the second thing that I think was and this will lead to, my view, rationalization of numbers also, rationalize people. I think we had over a period of time it had become a little inefficient. More numbers had come in. I think so. This is something that will take place, and work from home will be a reality. And the third was that there was this growing thought process that is there anything else that I can do to supplement my revenue stream?
Yeah.
And people started looking at ways and means to create what we call a revenue stream through ancillary services. Services that it is integral and embedded into our industry. We are very good at it, but we never seem to have monetized it to the extent that we would have liked it. There was a thought about it. And I think that was the thing that really, we used to talk about in our time. Why can we not do this? But when the other businesses were moving at a very good direction, these things used to get relegated. But now when there's nothing happening, we started thinking, can I create takeaways? How can I do innovative ways to deliver food, services into customer homes in a hygienic manner? I'm good at laundry. My laundry is idle. Can I create laundry services for communities at large in a hygienic manner, in a eco-friendly manner? So can I do that? Can I look at
even housekeeping for the
housekeeping facilities, housekeeping management? We have got very good housekeeping. This thing, people, a company like ITC, which really are pioneers in building grand hotels and hotels that are all LEED Platinum certified, etc., have created a project management cell, because they are experts in project management. They've built large hotels, 700-room hotels, luxury hotels. They know exactly what is required and how they can bring efficiencies and how they can create a hotel that is completely embedded with sustainability and is LEED Platinum certified, environmentally friendly. So all these things. So people have got into project management also, that if you need any help, kitchen facility management, housekeeping services. Uh, so like this lot of, and then innovation in terms of what I can do that when it opens up, how can I excite, entice, create demand. So even earlier ITC, I know, had started on staycations, where people from the city could come in over there. But now there is staycation, there are workcations where people from a small, group of people come in for a few days to brainstorm or meet how you can create a effective work environment for people to come and work in hotels. So like this, there was a lot of thought that was going on in terms of how we can get revenues from such ancillary services of which we have the competence. So I think this was another phase in this entire thought process that took place. And the last, I think, was, which I realized that was in terms of look at my cost from a zero base. What can I do when there's no revenue coming in? Then the only way to do it, and everything is shut. Then the only thing for you to really focus there at that point in time was really take a hard look. Do I need this cost? To want? How critical it is. You start debating. Is it necessary? Is this service necessary? Is this position necessary? Is there a new way of working? Is there a new way of looking at my processes? How do you build in efficiency? And we are ITC is a Six Sigma organization. So I think all the processes were being looked at to make them lean and efficient. And how do you reduce the steps? Unnecessarily, sometimes you create lag into these processes, you create fat into these processes, rightfully or wrongfully. How do you streamline them? How do you make them lean? So this is another way and then incorporating the new protocols also. And looking at every cost. Sometimes your amenity cost in your room itself is a huge cost. Do we really need them? We had already started working on removing plastics from our hotel rooms. And we said that we would like to be single use. As a chain, we are a single use. We have removed plastic, and we said that if there is a plastic, it will be a single use plastic. So in that extent, it is far more efficient. So we had substituted and we removed a lot of things from our guest rooms. So like this, there were various ways that we had said that we will remove plastic bottles from our guest rooms. We said we'll use only glass bottles. So there was a lot of other efforts that were taken in to really look at sustainability, environment-friendly initiatives that also helped in reducing cost at one end, but also looking at the larger part of how do you create a sustainable organization, which is very, very important in periods like this. So these are some of the things that I think people went about looking at how to meet the challenges and keep the workforce gainfully employed and engaged. And now that the businesses have opened, hotels Unlock 4.0 guideline has now actually opened up everything. And even the states where, for example, Tamil Nadu did not open even in 3, even though in 3.0 they had said that you could open hotels. Delhi had not opened hotels. Even Delhi has now opened everything. Haryana has opened. Tamil Nadu is open. Mumbai has opened. Mumbai also had put restrictions of 33%. People, you could only allocate 33% of your inventory to visitors. Even that has now opened up. So now there is a more or less the restrictions have been removed. So when you remove restrictions for opening up of hotels, opening up of restaurants, opening up of gym, opening up of spas, then is now next stage is going to be, how do you communicate to the guest? How do you guide the guest? How do you restore consumer confidence? And how do you tell him uh, the protocols? How do you educate him those processes? And how do you create a seamless travel for consumers, guests to travel? So we are looking at again newer ideas in terms of how do you create seamless corridors which are completely sanitized with all the safety protocols. That you can go on driving holidays. You can come drive from airport to your resort destination or somewhere else, where the entire area is certified for safety and hygiene, where the customer is also right from the, so whether it's car rentals, it is hotels, it is food eateries, dhabas, whatever those are, how you get this entire corridor sort of sanitized and sensitized to meet the challenges of the pandemic. So this is the next phase. That's the only way. You have to constantly engage with the customer. People right now want to travel. There are some green shoots. I know, for example, at the ITC Grand Bharat in Manesar, for example, hotel is running with very good occupancy, and there are days when it was running full. Similarly, I'm told in Sona Western, Damdama, other places are going. Even today I was trying some hotel reservation in Masuri at I Welcome Hotel Savoy, and I was told that they're running quite full. And but many customers are wanting to know, hey, what are the rules right now? So I think we need to have a very seamless protocols. Not one state has one rule, another state has another rule. I think we should have a uniform policy that will give consistency, so that when I travel from Delhi to Jaipur, I know that the rules in Delhi will apply in Jaipur. Or if I go to Uttarakhand, suddenly they say, no, where is your COVID certificate? I have a COVID certificate I took last week. No, it has to be 72 hours away. Or I have a certificate, but have you registered on your site? So those kind of confusion should not take place. So we have to, so we need to do end-to-end service. You want to travel? Okay, I will enable I'll facilitate this entire thing. I will pick you up, I will take you, I will organize all the procedures, all the rules, all the regulations, and then I can drop you and they can pick you up. So this is one way to, so the person say, hey, I don't want to get into any problem and I don't want to go into all these regulations. So I think, so that's the next step, which is very, very important. Constant engagement, constantly educating your consumer, right, and enabling a seamless corridor. Like you have air bubble, right? Right. So we are saying, can we create a cold chain? How do you create a cold chain? So I think that's the next step, which is now very, very important. We have first and foremost is, how do we build demand from domestic travel?
True. Very
That's
true.
the key. That is going to be your savior. But I also feel that we should not rule out the inbound traffic also. I feel that inbound traffic must also be quickly restored. And we should plan so that by October, November, the charters, the groups, all should start coming in India. See, we are competing with Europe, we're competing with South Asia, we're competing with other destinations. And there they have not only opened up, but they have given confidence to tour operators and aggregators, etc., that you can make reservations, that visas will be available to you, that these are the rules and regulations. So I think we should open up the visas, and we should communicate and restore confidence to all the overseas tour operators, the MOT, Ministry of Tourism, and the Tour Association, and the hotel industry, and the others must give that very clear that we will welcome you. Please make reservations. And the rules and regulations must be very clearly defined so there is no ambiguity. And for that, you'll have to do more testing, testing protocols at on-site, fast testing protocols before they leave. So those policy procedures with visas must be opened up, because I think there is a huge interest in coming and people want to come. But for that, we need to start work now. We shouldn't say that, no, we don't want international inbound or we have lost it. No, because Thailand is competing. Nepal is competing. Nepal has created a national recovery task force of professionals. They've created a national recovery task force, multifunctional, aviation, tour operators, hoteliers, transporters, government, all of these are there together. Culture, all of these are there together. What is the purpose? What they can do to create uniform policies and help in marketing the destination.
Sure.
We have to do this also. So one is, how do you create demand for domestic tourists? The other is, what do you do for inbound tourists? And for inbound tourists, building demand from there, which will happen, we need to start work right now. Why should we lose on charter business for Goa, for example? We should create air bubbles from USSR to Goa, UK to Goa. We should do this. We should have consistent policy. Goa should welcome. They should create. Once they come into our hotels, grand hotels, lovely beach hotels, they can be well taken care of. They can live in seclusion. They can live in isolation with highest protocols of safety. They can frolic in sun and beach. We should do it. Why should we lose out?
Absolutely.
The industry this industry give 8.1% of total, contributes 8.1% of total employment. 42 million people are part of this.
Right.
It in 1819 it contributed 9.2% of GDP. So there is a lot of opportunities, and we should expand and explore and compete. And there is also a view that occupancy levels will not be restored till 22, 23. 2019, the levels of occupancy will not come till 2022, 23. Why? Because a large part of this is business travel.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to, and of this business travel, there is a section called of MICE travel. So I'm saying that, okay, let us have a strategy on MICE. What can we do for MICE? How do we incentivize MICE? People who used to go out to do a lot of MICE events, how can they do within India? So we are saying, please open up the MICE. 50 people restriction for a banquet hall is not good. And so there is now a talk where we are saying, 50% of capacity.
Correct.
So, how can you get 7,000 square foot? Can have at least 300 people. So let's open up. That will allow MICE events to start. People who used to go out, the Indians, will start doing it over here. Weddings that used to go out to Thailand and Bali and Australia and other locations will start doing it in our locations. So that's another important business. So this is how we have to look at policies to enable. If you can incentivize this, if you can reduce the GST, which is anywhere at 18% to 28, it came down to 18. 18 is still very high. What do we do about that? How do we sort of incentivize? Can we give leave travel allowance and such incentives to Indians to travel within the country and get some tax incentives? These are the ways that you'll have to see how to bring demand. See, tourism industry right now is going through a crisis. And even though there are some green shoots, it's still a long way from recovery. So we have to do everything for the industry to sustain itself and meet its challenges of top line and bottom line. We need to the industry will require support, which is something that we have been representing. CII has been representing to the government, whether it is in terms of extending the moratorium, reducing the interest, waivers. What we are saying is uh, extend the tenure of loans, look at restructuring of the existing loans, extend reduced interest overdraft facilities, working capital.
Yeah.
We had given representation to the government on MSME also. We got it reclassified also. Now we are saying that the 20% limit for loan is very less for our industry, because the time for this industry to recover, the travel, tourism, hospitality, will be the longest. It will be the last to recover. When other sectors will improve, that's the time when the demands truly get generated and we will see recoveries taking place. So what will happen to other sectors will be faster, ours will be the longest. So therefore 20% that loan will be negligible, because we need capital for a longer period of time. So we said at least give 50%. That will help. So these are some things that we have been working, talking to the government to be sensitive to the needs of the industry, because things are getting to be very, very difficult. Up till now, somehow the industry has managed and sustained through its own resources and its own reserves. But going forward, it will find it very difficult. And I fear that if not given any relief, especially this sector, we will be in for real trouble. Now, so that is one part. The other part is that while we do that, what can we do to generate demand? Within this, there is domestic and then there is international. And I'm saying that we need to look at both the sides. Don't think that inbound tab khatam ho gaya. Nahi, aisa mat bol. Focus on that. Have a strategy in place. Let's talk to all the intermediaries, overseas operators. Let's give them a predictable guidelines and SOPs that can enable them to start making reservations, start selling the destinations. This is this. Thirdly, how do you create a corridor, seamless travel that is completely sanitized and safe with the necessary protocols? And how can you create uniform policies so people who are traveling from one state, interstate travel, do not suddenly find that the rule in another state is different from this state. There should be similar rules, similar policies. These are in short, is the need of the hour.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It's very interesting to hear, even though it was a bit long, but I think a lot of points which has been very, very important point people can take from this question, sir. So can you give can you give some suggestions to the youngsters on how to face failures in life and how to handle them?
No, I have always believed that I believe that there is I've always followed this principle of 3 P's: passion, perseverance, and patience. When you have a passion for the job doesn't become a job. It becomes something more deeper. When you have some interest in a subject, for example, you're reading a book, you lose the sense of time and you are just engrossed in the story or engrossed in that book. But when you do not have a passion for that subject or of that particular kind of a storyline, then even half an hour you feel sleepy, you get tired, you don't want to do. So whatever you do, please do with great passion. Passion means bring sharp focus, concentration, determination. This is very, very important. If you're part of this industry, have passion for customer care. Bring that inner feeling of empathy, compassion, care into your job. If you have that passion, then you can work under any circumstances. You can work on festivals, you can work on Christmas, you can work on New Year's, you can work on Sundays. Otherwise, you will say, "Arey, yaar, when I am working, people are celebrating on festivities, but I am working. I'm always Diwali par log छुट्टियां मना रहे हैं, मैं काम कर रहा हूँ. New Year's mein people are enjoying, I'm working." And you will always be cursing yourself, what kind of job is this? I don't want this job. You will always talk about work-life imbalance. Arey, what is this? I have to work. But if you have a passion for the job, then it blurs. It is, you want to spend time with your customers. You want to spend time engaging with the customer. Job becomes much more enriched. So passion, how do you cultivate passion? Through focus, through determination, through interest into your task. Mindfulness, I call them. You have to be very mindful, be in the moment, be in the present. So that's very first. Perseverance. You will, every day will not be the same. There'll be good days and bad days, but you must show that resolve, that willpower, that courage, that I will climb. I'll fall, but I'll climb.
Yeah.
Because I must I must have small goals and large goals. And I must work towards them diligently every day. So perseverance. Yeah. Perseverance comes from intrinsic discipline.
Absolutely.
Of life, time management, discipline, focus, inner determination and willpower. Those are things. Third is patience. Patience is very important. Rome was not built in a day. Things will not happen because you want it to happen today. You have to do your best. As they say in Gita, be detached to the outcome. Do your best. The results will follow. You have a good strategy, outcome will be good. It could also be bad, but at least you know that. So have patience. You can't have everything today. People want to do everything today. They are in a hurry. And when they get failures, they get very disappointed. Have patience. Do your best. When you exercise patience, then you are able to plan properly. You're much more calmer. You're able to strategize well. You're able to look at the bigger picture. So patience, passion, perseverance, patience. These are three very important things. And I always tell people this is one way that you are able to and be positive. Don't always look at failures. Do happen. Failures are good. Failures are a way to learn.
Absolutely.
Isn't it? So why get so? Listen, when you fail, you learn.
Experience.
And again try. Anyway, it's not in your hand. You have to only try. Perseverance, that's perseverance. So that's the way to do it. My view.
It's a superb answer. I'm sure because the youngsters will really, motivated by hearing this. So my last question of the day is that what are the important changes you think that hospitality schools should bring in the syllabus, which is, out of the box, like not the regular syllabus. What are the changes they should bring in?
I think, there are three aspects that I think. One is the basic skill levels.
Yeah.
Service skills, knowledge of hoteliering concepts, food and beverage management, wines, beverages, food, service. These are the one part. The second part is in terms of management lessons, management strategies, which includes marketing and all the various aspects of selling, distribution, strategies, make strategic decisions. So they must focus on management because, our boys, when they pass out from hotel schools, are not meant to. Hotel school people who come after 4 years should not become supervisors or become waiters. They can be, so they must have the management this thing. If you have to do service level, you don't have to go to a hotel school. You can have a vocational training for 6 months.
Yeah.
And you can be a very good waiter. which is not a bad idea. Somebody doesn't want the capacity to do 4 years. Somebody needs to work now. They can do a 6 months vocation training. They don't need to get into hotel school to eventually get into housekeeping. You can do a 6 months vocation training, get into housekeeping. So when you get into hotel schools, apart from basic knowledge and skill, you need to have management. Third is, I think I feel now most important is technology. They must be exposed to innovation and technology as a subject. What are the technologies that touches space in better consumer understanding, better consumer analytics, how artificial intelligence, how virtual reality can help you to showcase your product, how you can create contactless engagement. A lot of technology that is now coming in. I think we must have an innovation that is required. I think they must be exposed to that at the college level, so that when they come out, they already are aware, they're already engaged, they already have a deep understanding, and it only gets better when they get into organizations. I think that is the thing that, because the pre-COVID already the technology was gradually being ramped up, and technology had become a very key differentiator also. One first off the block, and in understanding consumer by building an organization that has all the processes, ingredients for better analysis, better analytics, better to develop AI. That was already there, but post-COVID, I think it's become absolutely imperative and vital. How do you reach out to consumers using technology? How do you deliver experience through technology? How do you deliver services through technological advancements? What are those advancements that are taking place in the area of hygiene, safety, and such protocols? Today, hygiene and safety protocol is not only meant for technology people, food technologists, or food and beverage or chefs. The entire industry must be fully aware of those global standards on food safety, hygiene, and those protocols. So I think these are things that this thing. And lastly, I think what is more important is industry and academia must have a greater interaction and engagement. If we want good resources, we have to invest in those institutes, which means the teachers themselves are exposed to the best. How we can give summer jobs to the teachers, how we can give projects. Industry needs to do research, and the thing they should allow the academia to do research and enable projects by supporting them and exposing them. This is the way that there will be faster learning, faster growth, better knowledge incubation, and we will also get better talent. This is what is happening in US, where Cornell School, whenever somebody has a problem, they do research papers. They come up with deep studies, which is then shared. So academia has to be integrated with industry. We have to support them. So I think this is one aspect that needs to be done very quickly. I think if Indian industry, the travel tourism hospital needs to go up even a level above.
I think it's very important because I really agree with you, because especially the summer job for the teachers, because the teachers have to update themselves. They're not updating themselves only there with the theory part. It does not really help. Maybe sometimes they just bring some kind of visitor from the industry and take 1 or 2 classes, but I don't think that will really help them out. I think your suggestions are really, really important.
And I think the point that in all of this, there's one common theme: sustainability.
Yes.
How do you embed sustainability into all your process? Sustainability is not now a fancy word. It is the very need of the hour.
Really. Yeah.
And for that, everybody must understand what they need to do, how they need to do. So I think that is also a very important subject matter that needs to be uh, embedded in the colleges. In fact, in the schools, I feel this whole business of Swachh Bharat must start from the school, actually.
Absolutely correct.
Civic sense must come from the childhood. You know,
Yeah.
waste disposable. You can't do waste outside. Take garbage, throw it out into the road. No, you can't do it. Keep your cities clean. So I think those slogans have to be now tangibilized through education, through communication, and giving it and building it into your business model. Sustainability is now required in your business model. It's just not about energy conservation. It's not that energy conservation is going to be the important thing, because water and energy are both going to be scarce.
Mm-hmm.
But there are so many other dimensions to it that it must be part of a strategy. And I think people should start young. Certainly in college, they must know about it, so that when they become managers and they go into organization, they become willing. They understand, and they realize that this is a cause well worth fighting for. So I think that's the interest must be there from much younger.
Very true, sir. Very true. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Deepak, sir, giving your most valuable time to the Hospitality Influencer Show. And truly, we are touched to have you, as our guest today, and also the kind of information what I have gone through. Well, I have got it, and maybe also the viewers have got it. Will be definitely will not be forgotten, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable
Thank
time.
you, Raj. Thank you so much. I hope you found it useful, and I wish all your viewers the very best and all success. These are difficult times, but with resilience, with determination, and with courage, this too will pass. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Bye.